And for that, maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's to budget. I'm sorry. It's January to October is 167. I looked at that wrong.
Yeah.
If we were fully staffed, well, you could probably take close to $1 million and something off the nurse, expenses. So we'd definitely be in the black and
Even if you were paying for
be in net income every month, I would imagine. Because if you look at our losses every month, they're pretty.
10 full-time and 3 part-time.
How about other facilities that have the same issues, right?
Yeah. This is cross the board.
Yeah.
Now, maybe for profits are different. I'm not sure, but we're not.
I don't know, Michelle.
Do you think it's all like that? Yeah, and Chris, you just went to that. She just went to a seminar. So she probably has a lot more information than.
I mean, long-term nursing homes are in the tough
Well,
big.
Projected need for nursing home beds is going to go down over time.
Down?
Yeah. But need for memory care beds is going to go way up.
Yeah.
And need for assisted living is going to go way up. So, yeah.
I spoke to, so one could say sometimes when they're in assisted living, there's questionable. But that's a trend also to go that route rather than to go into a nursing home too.
Why is nursing going down? Did you?
The acuity of the people who are in there is higher. But, with more people need memory care.
Yeah.
And we have some of those people who would be way better off if they had memory care, and that's just not available. So that's going to be a great need, but acuity as far as nursing home residents level of care, that's going to go up. But the need for nursing home beds is down.
Do you have individuals memory care there that can be on to other facilities like Trempealeau and some of those places?
If they had room for them.
That's also an issue. I put it away.
If their payer source pays for it and things like that,
So we have to take them regardless.
You don't have to. You don't have to. There are lots of things that the social worker and I and Kathy and Becca look at before accepting an admission. And one of those is, can we keep them safe?
I think the frustrating part for me is like looking, just delivering you the numbers is like, we're over revenue than what I projected. And it's with our expenses as high as they are, it just eats it up. So. Balance sheet, we're still, you can definitely see that we're in a negative cash position. So that speaks volumes too. Just have to see what we can do to change things around.
October revenue was over budget by 92,000. Right?
Yeah.
Well, the county board needs to know this. I mean, it's this nurse pool is kind of out of our control.
We have regulatory guidelines.
I mean,
We have to keep staffing requirements.
you guys are doing much as you can, but there's not employees out there. Other agencies have the same thing.
Yeah, people are hard to find. Getting a little better, just a little better.
And about hiring somebody to go out and do the recruiting. Bring that up again.
We'll get to that discussion as we go through this agenda.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Until it happens.
I did give you, Lonnie, if you see in your packet, there's an advertising what we spent this year. So we'll talk about that
I don't
further.
totally agree with the way it's going.
That's
And that would be good. I was looking too at all the costs for the radio station. If we could just add that we need help.
Yeah, but we can do
We
Chris
can
can do that.
to anyone you can. I mean, there's that whole list. I didn't realize that. And ask them what they can do and maybe they would.
Yeah, Chris said she'll
Just
look into that.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions on financials? For Vernon Manor. Okay, now we'll go Vernon Acre.
So Vernon Acres, they had a net income of $424 for October. Their biggest expense is wages. The unassigned, and I always give you guys a detailed tab. It's just so much to list for one page, but an unassigned, that's utilities and depreciation. Their depreciation every month is $16,000. Utilities, electric, what have you. So, but yeah, they're under budget for performance with revenue. Part of, when we take MCO in, we probably lose about, $100 a day. And if you take that and you multiply it by the number of residents, it adds.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have MCO, we'd have a lot of empty rooms. So there's, the dichotomy of.
Well, how do we? When you did the budget, did you budget for less revenue for those individuals, or? I mean,
It was my first year doing the budget, so I probably wasn't as accurate because MCO was just coming on at that point. So I probably err on my point for not not realizing how
because the only
mix.
revenue we have is just
it's about a half and half mixed, I think, right now with
that much.
pretty close.
Well, how do we make up the difference in budget?
More private pay. How do you,
Private pay.
just that easy?
Well, if you have one or two agency payments, that's 75%, you're still losing.
Right. And so here's the problem with MCO too, right? That's the third party managed care organization for Medicaid. They don't want to pay what they should. So Amy quite often will go back to Inclusa and say, I want more money based on the acuity of this tenant.
Oh,
So it is something she fights for, but they don't want to pay. So it is a constant struggle for her with that. And you don't get paid the same rate for each tenant. It's based on their needs, personal care level of service that they provide
yeah,
to them.
when they check in, the
Right.
needs are more was whatever the might that's extra,
Yeah,
but not the base of 4,000.
but they don't like to pay.
All of us don't like to pay. No,
Or they can get by with it all.
that's not fair.
So the easy solution, if they were all private pay, you would see a different picture.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I know, a lot of the individuals just kind of, they hand them a check. The resident hands Amy a check each month. I know my sister-in-law does, so, yeah.
Yep. I have no bad debt with Vernon Acres. They're all on-time payments. I mean, MCO, they don't, pay what I think they should, but at least they pay on a timely basis. It's pretty.
Yeah.
I have one person that, they owe me $100 yet, and that'll be paid off after this month. That's it. They're just wonderful.
Okay, any other questions?
Are nursing home beds going down because they differentiate now between memory care and nursing home? Is that why
There's
we
a-
don't
that's-
need?
That's kind of what Chris said.
That's part of,
Probably the big thing.
that's what I was wondering. Otherwise,
But payers don't like to have people in the nursing home. If there's any other option for somebody other than nursing home, then that's what
Yeah.
we're doing. And that's why assisted living is the
Going-
needed
yeah.
ones are going up, because there are a lot of people who can do well in assisted living. And it used to be when the assisted living facilities became well known,
yeah,
they took private pay only. And so if
Yeah.
you had Medicaid, your option was nursing home. That's not true anymore.
okay.
So,
And if I can add to that, if it has to go through the courts, meaning if we have a ward who did not have adequate powers of attorney in place, a court is not permitted to order more restrictive placement than is needed, and that can influence the situation too.
Okay.
And I just realized I made an error and I'm going to be very accountable for this. You guys should have an October balance sheet and you have a November for Vernon Acres. My apologies. I was just looking at the negative receivables. I'm like, what? And then I looked at the date. My apologies. I can send the October one out to you. Or in the wrong month. The bulk of it is different, but the assets would have been more positive direction.
I got a sister that's going through, Maplewood, I guess. I'm trying to get a little bit involved in that part. I tried to get her to come over to.
It's interesting. Sometimes they encourage, like if they're a managed care inclusa,
Yeah.
at some point they sometimes try to encourage the movement to Maplewood. And I'm not sure why that is, Chris.
I don't know, other than they work with Maplewood a lot and we're newer, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's,
It could be.
she dealing with that also. Yeah.
Our rooms over at Acre, they're certainly nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody satisfied? Mary, you're quiet today. You studied this for the last 24 hours, right? So
I did.
I hear you picked it up yesterday.
I did. I looked at it and
And we met on a couple items too. I
Yeah.
think that helps too.
You satisfied? Is the way it is, huh?
it at this point, it is what it is. You know,
I'd like to hope that you have a better understanding because I think she's been very wanting to make sure
Oh, yeah.
you understand the nature of the.
It's
new.
Me person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fairly new.
They always ask a lot of good questions.
I've been on there for 18 years. I'm supposed to do it. So. All right, number 10. Website design, discussion.
This is my first attempt at an RFP and Kim and I sort of tag teamed it together. So feel free to make any changes or edits or additions and deletions.
That's a nice document, right?
Yeah, so you should be holding up this document. You have this one. Okay. All right. I'm not sure how to proceed on this one, just to sort of go through some talking points. This is new. So,
Let's get some more coffee first.
Yeah,
all right.
I can be the last. Go ahead.
Okay. Would you like some coffee? We have a cup for you. And we have cream.
I'll just take a fun.
Okay.
It keeps over pretty good from month to month.
I don't come to this meeting without it. That and donuts is a necessity. But
Being first.
Only the kind, just
That's that.
about what you gave yourself as president. Thank you so much.
I do want to come.
you want me to get
Just one.
You got okay.
Yep, I have,
How are you?
Just left with.
Thank you.
Warm up.
You're okay?
At the house we bought.
Thank you.
A little break on it.
What else?
Travis,
Yeah, I mean,
are you good?
years ago,
Okay.
we were supposed to have,
Chris, thank you. Should have gotten two of them today.
No, anyway, she put her notice in, and it was approved way back then.
To stay on as a dietitian and not the kitchen.
So right now I'm in the process. I just went to a guy here right in town. He does signs, everything.
Oh, is it so nice?
All you have to do is walk in there. I thought, why did it take 2 years? I had almost 3. But anyway, I will be having you hang it.
Okay.
It was all approved before. But he
Did you find anything?
up with like 4
Did you?
different-
I honestly,
And
I looked
I
at this.
just cried.
Part of me, what came into my head is
So anyway, after.
not knowing what direction we're really going to go.
That was a
Should we be
challenge.
spending this morning?
Yes.
No, that's my question.
Yeah.
This was quite a document.
It's quite a document. I'm not gonna lie. Bobby gave me a template that we started from. I took the first part, Kim took the second part, so we just sort of tag teamed it together and tried to come up with something that was cohesive and relevant and so
Okay,
when everybody's I'll just sort of try to maybe go through some talking points with you guys.
okay.
So the introduction is just it's like the objective. What are we trying to accomplish here? What things do we want to make sure we encapsulate? And we did put in there to strategize, to stand out, to make Vernon Manor and Vernon Acres stand out from the competition, but also to attract healthcare talent. So as we're talking through your talking points of, this would be something that's important. Another thing I want to sort of talk to you about, because Travis has also been involved just with feedback. He's quite talented in the website design area. I never knew that. So what we sort of thought in our heads, and of course this is open to discussion, is that what's really important before you maybe perhaps tackle the website design is to have a brand strategy. And why that is important is that usually when you're doing a brand strategy, you're going to have your, logos, you're going to have the font, you're going to have the colors, all of that is so detailed. And once you have a brand strategy, then you can usually go to the website design, and after that, marketing or together, but the brand strategy is how you want to define yourself, stand out from the competition is usually the first step, is my understanding. We've done some research and talked to some companies. And so the challenge of that is the brand strategies, the Vernon County is going through also a redirection of their overall. You can probably talk more on that. So it's like, how do we fit into the piece with the website? So maybe the concentration again is the brand.
So we are actually, Economic Development Committee just met yesterday. We will be exploring a grant opportunity through USDA for rebranding for the county. Fits right in line with our timeline for our website redesign, which that whole process will take about a year.
We should continue on with our,
That's up to you. One of the points in the RFP for the feasibility study, we'll be looking at the advertising component of the facilities. But the funding for the marketing campaign has already been approved. So
the funding is going to come from that grant.
for this, no.
So what we have is 50.
countywide.
The countywide, correct, yes.
So what we have allocated for budgeting is 50,000. I think 50,000 was Vernon Manor in the budget for advertising, and 55,000 for Vernon Acres, with a 20,000 additional from ARPA. That 10,000 for one entity, 10,000. But it's our objective is to sort of combine this into one campaign addressing both facilities sort of together. It just, I think, is
Have we had
more efficient.
a county grant from this, or this is our Vernon Manor expense?
Vernon Manor expense with 20,000.
Plus- Out of the 125,000, 20,000 was
Yeah,
from
was it Ho-Chunk or ARPA, one of the two?
ARPA.
ARPA.
The rest is in the budget, is put in this year's budget. Or next year's budget, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. So now,
Majority of it is.
so the introduction again is just what our objective is. So that's probably super important. Then it goes on to sort of explain and point to the profiles of each entity, just to give that company an introduction to who we are. And if anybody wants to interject, just feel free to. The brand strategy campaign, we're just using a lot of different resources to figure out how they sort of look. Travis was instrumental. We all sort of worked together just as a team to try to identify all those important issues. So the brand strategy would capture the architecture, positioning, identities, brochures, social media posts, clicks. If you click, if you're searching, how many places do you hit? Oh, wait, sorry, that's not that part. But the guidelines, the logos, the graphics, mission statement, all of that, that's the brand strategy. Then the digital lead generation campaign, that's more like, okay, if somebody was Googling, how would we show up on their search? Ads. And what I think is super important is analytics, right? Because even what we're using right now, we can't measure our success. So I think it's super important to have anything that we reach out to for bids, that you have tools for us to use to see how successful we are and the return on investment. And so the other thing too, I wanted to say, I also think it's important because once they launch us, there will still be maintenance, right? Nothing's free. They're not going to just manage us after that without any cost. So I want them to include the maintenance of the monthly cost of the developed campaign. And so when you look at our advertising, what we've spent annually on advertising, I would like to say the redirection of our many things here would definitely pay for any maintenance, which I would assume could be close to $1,000 a month from our investigation. Maybe that's a little high, but I know I can take it from here because I think although we have a lot of different resources, I just don't think they're as effective as they need to be.
So are you saying that the $125,000 that we just talked about funding, what is in next year's budget does not include what's on the paper there that you're talking about that's currently being spent? There's another line item for those items for the radio and newspapers and that?
It's part of
So
it.
that's got to be included
Yes.
in that 125.
Right. But my thing is to redirect some of this.
I got you.
Okay.
I just wanted to know if
Okay.
there was another.
No, I wish, but
Thank
no.
you.
But, I'm just trying to look into the future, knowing that there's going to be maintenance involved and how would we pay for that? We have a decent budget for this RFP, but it won't cover the maintenance, I'm sure. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody else has more experience with the cost of how these come back. I don't know.
You'll find out when you get the bids back.
Right. But I'm just saying I have a direction we can take if, the maintenance is a little more. We'll just see what happens. But I mean,
You've got 3 vendors listed, right? Are there more? Or
what do you mean 3 vendors? I'm sorry.
Group. And then
And then Travis is sitting with us.
Yes.
She's the.
I see that.
Yeah. So Travis, I think, I'm just going to give you a shout out. Sorry. So his website design, his wife runs a business and he runs a site, and They're very nice websites. But just so his guidance and just helping direct, and his input was helpful.
Mhm.
He might be, might be interested if,
So he's gonna,
maybe.
Just when it comes to designing websites for Vernon Acres, if the county website redesign doesn't include pages for each facility. It's just an option.
It's just it's just things to think about.
That's, I guess, when I reviewed this, the question that came to mind for me is, why are we keeping in our silo and not being a part of the total county package? I think I know why, and that's because we've talked numerous times here at this committee about the need for more promotion. And these things don't happen overnight. They can happen a little more rapidly in some cases once you're beyond the initial phases. But if Vernon County is looking at a branding thing, the whole component, the whole plan for a marketing campaign, Vernon Manor and Vernon Acres are a part of that county. And if we do our own thing over here and get our own brand and we get our own webpage and we do this, that's like outlying. And we're paying two entities and we're still not going to be all working cooperatively as a unit. I don't mean to dispel this because we've talked so many times about the need, but I also believe in unification and of total representation in terms of Vernon County.
So if we did do this website too, it's my understanding, and Connor, he must be busy, that, because I ran into him this morning, that we would be underneath the county. Like there would be a link that would direct from the county to this website. Like we're not going to just be a standalone. We still be captured.
we should be involved in ground zero. When you start doing the county one,
Yes.
Manor should be part of that. Well, it's other departments within the county.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because
It's not a,
because other departments are going, have the possibility of saying then, well, they got to design their own and they didn't have to fit the county parameters.
I think I kind of see it both ways. I would like to find a way that we integrate, but at the same time, they are an enterprise fund. They are a separate entity from the county, and it is, the healthcare field is a completely different aspect of county government that way. And I think when we're looking at, advertising and promotion of the facilities, I do think it's appropriate for them to have standalone sites. The issue comes in, and we talked about this with the county website too, is who's responsible for the upkeep of those sites. It's not going to do us any good to continue to do what we're doing now, where, you throw it up on a web page and you never update it. No one has that specific responsibility. We struggle with that with our county website the way it is now. So that's my biggest concern, is that if we do this, it needs to be continually updated. It needs to be interactive. It needs to fit the needs of not only people looking for that facility, but people, the families of people staying at the facility. We talked about a couple meetings ago. We looked at a couple different websites and what some of these facilities are doing. I know Mary Henry's got her hand up online, but she had shared, interactive activities calendars where she can go on there and see what's happening. If we're looking at something like that, I think it makes a lot of sense. But if we're looking for just another couple of web pages that are sitting out there that no one's going to be responsible for updating, then it does not make sense to have it as something separate.
no, true. It's gotta be, vendors gotta be involved all the way through to keep the updates. You're right.
Well, the vendor would be involved in setting it up, but I wouldn't expect a vendor to continually be, you have a new activity that you need to add to a calendar. We're not going to pay someone, an outside entity, to do that.
You're gonna have an employee, county employee in charge of that.
Yes. It's not out of the realm of a normal responsibility once the website is set up. It's a fairly easy thing to do.
Yeah.
It's just, it needs to happen and it needs to be, continually updated.
Aren't we concerned about a timeline too? Isn't it that, I mean, the sooner we get that information out there,
Yeah.
the better, not wait a whole year for the county.
Well, that's right.
Well,
There's another whole year lost.
this isn't gonna happen overnight either, this process that we're proposing right here.
Sure.
Well, it's 2 months before they even look at it, start looking at it, so.
And what was Connor's response when we were talking to the website too? Was that he was,
She said there's gonna be options where we have, our individual pages. And it's,
Connor?
Would-
Can you hear us? Hi,
Good
Connor.
morning. Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Connor.
I just thought I'd share some insight as well. There's been a lot of talk about marketing and the website redesign and whatnot. And just to give you a holistic viewpoint there, the county is looking to redesign its entire website and the 562 subpages that are contained under the county website, which include both Vernon Manor and Vernon Acres as it stands today. There would be a website refresh and kind of a rebranding of that content on that website, if approved by finance on the 19th of this month. We have our current website provider, Revise. We've been with them for 5 years. And over the 5 years, the county's developed, established new departments, information has gone stale, et cetera, et cetera. Part of this initiative is to update that information, make it more accessible, have the structure of the site mapping more accessible for intuitiveness for our residents and staff alike. And then I understand, marketing and presence of Vernon Manor and Acres is the utmost of importance to you guys as far as getting your metrics to where they need to be. I think, as part of the website redesign, having a external marketing agency joined into like taking photography, having information and things like that would be wonderful to get that integrated into our internal website. But as Cassie mentioned, if you're looking to do some more comprehensive, granular development as far as your website platform, such as advertising, the activities department and activities that are going on, or displaying like a revolving lunch menu or what have you, more comprehensive approach, that's where hosting a website of Vernon Manor and Vernon Acres would come in that conversation. But it all revolves around the long-term longevity of who's going to maintain that and how we're going to budget for that. If we host that externally, there's going to be a far greater expense to hosting that externally. Plus, you would still need someone internally to source that information either directly to the site or to the vendor. Now, if we wanted to keep that in-house and have that done with our county website rebrand and redesign, there would have to be a designated individual to still keep that, information fresh, but just might not be an extensive approach as hosting that site externally with another vendor. Furthermore, Vernon Manor and Vernon Acres has domains registered under Vernon County, so anybody can navigate to vernonmanor.org or vernonacres.org, and it directs folks to the individual sites under our county website today. As part of our redesign and rebranding approach, there's initiative for local government to move all of our domains to .gov. I propose that we would move vernonacres.org to .gov and vernonmanor.org to .gov as well, to follow the approach that Vernon County will be taking with moving from vernoncounty.org to vernoncounty.gov.
Right. Okay, thanks. Mary Henry, your hand up?
Thank you, Ollie. Okay, first, when I raised my hand, I wanted to basically say this, same things Cassie just said. So that's already been said. But during this time, I've gone to, and I understand the whole redesign and everything. I do, because I've gone through it with other entities that I've worked with. But I still believe we can get out there, and we can get out there now on the Facebook pages. And I just went to Vernon Acres. The last time that Facebook page was updated was October 2022 with fall, and that's it. There's only a few pages. And I went to Vernon Manors, and theirs hasn't been updated since 2015. Now, just about everybody knows how to use Facebook. I feel that there's got to be somebody, whether it be administrative assistant, activities director, I don't care who. Somebody that is within that could be updating those Facebooks, and then Connor at least set a link to our Facebook pages on the county website so people could at least get on there, and we could get some. Vernon Manor has 74 followers. Wow. Vernon Acres has like 27. I mean, or 23, excuse me. So we could, in the meantime, get ourselves out there and promote within, and that what it takes to do a Facebook page is not that difficult. That somebody could just get it in there, snap some pictures, take a picture of the activity page, set it in there. There's quicker fixes to our long end goal here, in my opinion.
I thought Heather had posted some pictures on our Facebook for activities.
I just went to,
like,
unless you've got a couple Facebook pages going, I was at both of them.
possible.
That's a good point, Mary. Because this seems awful lengthy. This,
A lot of it is legal.
And you could do something in the meantime in between. At least show some rooms, show what mealtime looks like, show, activities going on. I know we want a very professional and unified, but I am going to agree with Cassie. These are two separate entities. They need to connect through the county site. But this is an enterprise account. And like I said before, we're dealing with real estate here. The longer we take, the more money we lose. And we're missing the opportunity to fill those rooms.
okay, thanks. Any comment? But this is not my expertise, so.
Well, Travis, do you do this type of work?
I don't
You set up a
do that.
website?
Yeah, I do.
So you could,
Well,
not as a county employee, but you could do it as your own business.
independent contractor. But
And you could do it fast. I mean,
And I think you're pretty reasonable. I mean, it's
that's-
options. We're talking about options today, just options.
Right.
And Mary Henry brings up a good point with the Facebook. I thought Heather had been posting some things. So I'm wondering if we have two Facebook pages. Pardon?
The pages that I just looked at had been updated in 2022.
Okay. I thought we had,
Heather, who, activity?
No.
Person?
yeah.
He has been posting.
Oh.
Okay, Trisha just informed us that there are apparently a couple different Vernon Manors pages, and there is one that has recent postings on it.
Okay,
well,
then somehow we have to get those old ones inactive, and then we have to get a link on our website for the county to those. So if somebody's clicking and looking for more information about our two facilities, they can go to the correct links.
I think that this points out that we want a quick fix, but I don't know that it's going to be as quick as we might want it to be, even if it's a Facebook, whether you're determining to put two Facebooks into one, whatever. somebody does, I don't know if somebody does or doesn't have that in their position description to do that kind of thing. But if they don't, then that's something that you need to look at as to who's going to be responsible, because you don't want everybody in the facility to have the capability to do that. You have to have somebody who's responsible, that vets the information that goes up to make sure the pictures that go up have all of the signatures and things that the people have authorized to be able to have their picture taken and posted like that. I mean, there's more than just creating the page and getting it done. You got to have somebody else to maintain it, make sure you're following all the rules that are associated with the facility and the regulations that are there. I'm not saying we don't need it. I'm just saying that you may need to restructure position out there. And if you don't have adequate staffing to do what you need to have done now, it creates a complication. And so you have to take a look at that. But my real question is, as we look at a request for a marketing campaign, and that's the total thing. That includes everything from how you look as a staff and how you're dressed out there and what you wear for logos, to what's on your business card, to not only your website and everything. It's comprehensive. And yes, we are an enterprise operation, but we still are an arm of Vernon County. And so if Vernon County does the same thing and creates one logo, somehow that needs to be integrated. If your website's already designed, you're going to be coming back to have that included in it. So I'm just questioning the viability of spending this amount potentially, because we haven't let the RFP out, spending this kind of money. And then the county's on another track over here, should it be somewhat merged. I'm not saying that Vernon County doesn't need to have a website like Mary has discussed, with what I'll call all the bells and whistles of, because they're for people who have family members in there, people who are looking to find out what it's really about. You need to have that kind of thing out there for them to see. I'm not against that. I'm just questioning our track. And then if we're going to do a feasibility study alongside this at the same time, and if the feasibility study says we should look different, but we just spent $100 and some thousand to promote us looking like we currently do or have looked in the past, is that the best use of that amount of dollars right now? I'm just throwing it out there for your consideration. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm just saying it concerns me a bit. Oh, yes. She always gets me. That's my watch. Siri on my watch says she does not sure she understands me.
Let's do what we can do.
These extras. Who?
I think it's
Mary.
continuing.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I'm not sure. Mary Henry, do you have your hand up, or is that from before?
That must be from before. Let me,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Well,
Well,
I think we have an immediate need.
yeah,
So if we can come up with something that in the interim, before we get this whole campaign done with the county and Vernon Manor and Vernon Acres, we need to do something now, right?
What are we searching for?
Well,
Only as an individual now, supposed to be doing economic development and so on. She's been on for quite a while. So the county is what I feel is basically covered.
well,
So we're just looking for something for us only. Vernon
that's
Manor,
only
Vernon Acres.
short term, but we need to tie in
Later.
with the county
Right.
later. don't
Yeah,
we?
'cause I agree,
That's what-
Mary. It's
Mary.
very necessary to have the same brand for all of us because we're all county.
Have we got individual right now that can handle this part of it? This guy in the end, maybe?
I'd have to work with Hunter to see what can be done. The website
Okay.
hasn't been updated since, the
I mean,
photo for Vernon Acres is a groundbreaking.
Mhm.
So we'll definitely get photos and stuff, but access to updating the website. I'm not sure. I have to work with Tony.
I mean, this is, your county, you're a county employee now, if we're a Manor employee. We're asking you to consider this as an outside additional
Yeah.
partner. Oh, is that?
Contractor.
Contractor,
contract.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Or help us
that's-
find somebody. I mean, I don't know how you really feel like to be put on the spot because you had shared
No, I'm open
different
to
points. Okay.
But on this stuff, yeah, it takes.
I mean, if it takes 30 hours a week, I'm sure you don't want to do that, but, you know.
well, I think that's what,
Basic updates should be.
what we need to try and decide, because then your RFP that goes out looks considerably different. Yeah, would have an opportunity to submit.
As
Go
a
ahead, Mary.
suggestion,
Go ahead.
schools would do is to pay somebody a stipend. So you put it out there and say, who would like to earn this stipend to keep our Facebook account current and post pictures? And then you have control of who's doing it. Plus it's an incentive besides the regular pay to keep it updated. And I mean, that's what schools do. They do a stipend for somebody to do Facebook or teach technology to other peer coaching, whatever. You could do a stipend, a quarterly or whatever. And you don't have to say, I mean, a minimum of how many hours, but something to get this going.
Would that working?
Yeah, it's definitely
Or
something
something
I
like that?
had on. I think the sooner the better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Too involved with social media, but I can work on the website
Mhm.
designs. I think.
your wife is part of this?
Was that?
Well, and Mary did bring up some points that you should get a permission writing to have people's pictures. And when pictures are posted, you do not ever put last names. You know, you can put first names like so-and-so is 100 today, or so-and-so's birthday is today.
Okay, just a second.
Can you come up here so that anyone online can hear you? Thank you.
It just seems to me you'd have to put an RFP out for that type of thing as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Before we get too far into this, there's a couple of different things. Depending on how you plan to pay, you cannot pay an employee a 1099 and a W-2. So he cannot be contracted and also be an employee of Vernon County. So that's one part of it. The other part is we really need to define what the duties will be and what the pay will be before we can make this official.
Yeah, this should really be an entirely different discussion, closed session, if we're talking about, negotiating some type of separate thing. But what you said is correct. We're not going to issue a 1099 and W-2 to an employee. So if that's the route we want to go, we need a whole separate meeting. We need, we can't make that. What I'm saying is we can't make that decision right now.
But, okay, well, what was Travis's wife runs this operation?
Yeah. I'm just.
That wouldn't be, he wouldn't be.
They would need to decide, they would need to decide that on their own outside of here.
Yes.
And if they submitted a proposal, just like any other eligible contractor out there, they could submit a proposal. How they do it, that's their decision outside of whatever. But if it's submitted with his name on it, it doesn't sound like that works.
Then, okay, then we have to do an RF, some kind of a
But it
request for proposal.
would be low, the threshold of an RFP. Like,
Yes,
that's where I'm also,
$100 or more and they get a 1099.
yes, right.
So we're not saying that this isn't doable, this isn't possible. It would just have to be within that 40 hours of his typical work week. If he goes above that, then that would be eligible for overtime due to labor laws.
Well,
Because if he gets a stipend, gets a 1099 and a W-2, he's also putting his WRS pension at risk.
but you don't want to do that.
And I don't think,
Yeah.
I think he probably
yeah,
has,
child or something.
I think he has adequate work as a maintenance
Well,
worker.
I know,
He's
that's fine.
busy.
Mhm.
We don't want to take them hours away,
No.
5-10 hours.
He just came in, as like we were looking through one of the old like contracts that came up and the amount they had proposed at that point, and then we're talking a long time back, was something that was pretty high. That seemed
So,
crazy, a little.
Right, but we're not going to sacrifice like the
Right.
cost savings to ignore laws.
Right. No, I agree. No, I agree, but we didn't know. And so he just came into the dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you guys. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he was offering other more cost-effective ways,
Okay.
which are unlawful. So we should do it.
about this RFP, I
That's fine. I'm gonna get back to this.
And that's why the web design is not included in here, because it became very complicated. And so to at least come up with a brand strategy and then go to at least places out that, you know, if they click and they're looking for us, we would show up on the search. But without a web design, I guess, I don't know, it's counterproductive
Okay, that's.
in a way. I don't know.
Okay.
I want to go back to the question of what's our priority for Vernon Manor? Is it getting enough employees or is it getting residents? I think we got two different things here that we're talking about.
Well,
it's both.
yeah,
Okay. Can you combine it?
Well,
Ah.
yes.
Yeah, in the RFP, it was also to attract healthcare, but maybe this is just too premature and it should be tabled because there seems to be a lot of conflict of
well, wait,
which direction we
if
need.
we're gonna do an RFP.
We've got so many other things to cover.
Because it's gonna take months of Sundays to get this done. You know, it's gonna take 2 months. And then we'll look at more short term. If, Travis can do something or an employee of the county to get on this Facebook and get things a little more active and up to date. That's what we need to do right now. Before this thing kicks in.
Can we give them overtime? If you,
No.
no.
He doesn't
no,
want
because
that.
they're-
We're not here to try and work, we're not here to try and
No.
find a workaround for a county employee today. That's inappropriate for us to do.
Okay.
Maybe this is just too premature for this RFP at this point.
Maybe tell me why we can't have a recruiter. Why it won't work.
Okay, Nikki has a,
Just super brief, if and when someone does go to post marketing to the public, I hear that, like, let's do this on Facebook right away. Just make sure whoever is posting is aware of any HIPAA or otherwise regulations related to privacy.
right, it has to be, that's.
I'm just not in favor of websites. Maybe you've all had special moments because of websites, but I certainly never have.
But how do people find Vernon Acres, Vernon Manor?
It's a different world right now. People don't,
Facebook.
they're electronic.
Or not.
Podcast, searching on the internet.
My wife's on it 20 hours a day.
Well, and with the marketing campaign, they would be able to identify what the most effective means of marketing it is. So they'll look, is radio the most effective? Is newspaper the most effective? I don't think so, but you know, how, you know, what demographics is going to be looking at a website? What effect would social media have on it? So those are all aspects that if you did release the RFP, they'd be looking at.
I'm not opposed to a marketing plan. What I'm just concerned about is that integration with the county and the separate sidelines. I think there's been a lot of work that's gone into this, and I'm not opposed to it as putting it out, but I think we maybe need to hone in. As you say, maybe they'll define that websites aren't the way to go, or that newspapers aren't the way to go, or whatever it is, but it's a part of what they'll look at for the plan for this group. But it was the brand component that concerned me, that if we're working on one track and they're on something completely.
Who's they? Who's the other?
The county web design team.
Yeah, and I'll be completely honest with you, that brand, the whole like rebranding and the whole website, it's going to take a year.
Mhm.
Yeah, you haven't hardly started.
Yep.
So having a marketing campaign without a brand strategy for Vernon Manor, I don't know how fruitful and effective it would be. So that's what we need to consider.
But Lonnie, you're looking at just
Somebody that gets out there and gets their feet on the ground and starts going to places where we gotta be involved. We gotta be at the senior citizen centers. We gotta be talking to those people. We gotta be talking to colleges, to employees. Go thing.
Yeah, but I would think,
When's the last time we asked anybody if they wanted a job at Vernon Manor? Any of you asked lately?
Well, I have.
Yeah, I did.
I have.
I have.
Did it work?
No, she's thinking about it. The one that I spoke with.
every home or assisted living are looking for employees. We're not the only ones short
No.
10, 12 employees.
We're not.
Even the hospital.
Right.
Staff I deal with, they're bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, but
More
wait,
positions
get a
than
job
we have-
every day.
Then we have people for,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
everywhere. It's not unique to, Vernon Manor. It's not unique to Vernon County. It is an everywhere problem.
Oh, yeah.
Not unique to healthcare either,
How did
really.
How did you to come to us?
County benefits.
How do you?
On Indeed.
These rules.
Yeah.
That's the website.
Indeed.
And that's where you need to advertise today if you're gonna find some, or at least one of this.
The biggest thing is the retirement package that you get.
Yeah.
What brought me, because I mean, I took a pay cut, but it's worth it in the long run.
It's messaging that to folks because so much of the younger population just doesn't get it. They don't tell them.
But we get 20 to 30-year-olds and they don't give a darn about
No,
retirement.
they don't show that they give a darn. That's what I mean.
Not yet.
Well, it has to be- You're right, yeah.
Yes.
Mary, go ahead.
Yes, so I guess I'd like to ask, Chris, based on, I know it's a short tenure, but what are your thoughts on this marketing campaign and direction that we need to take?
Well, I think we need to tie in with the county. We absolutely have to.
Mhm.
But we have a great need for advertising now. We have to think of something we can do in the interim because we don't really have a year to not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So something needs to happen. And I don't know for sure what it's going to look like. I think we're right. We need to put this RFP on the table that for a little bit because it may look completely different when we figure out where the county is at and how things are going with that. But we have a need right now.
So we should be looking more in-house type of individual or
Well, for one thing, we've got to get those old Facebook pages
Gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's kind of embarrassing when you look at the old Facebook pages and nobody's looked at them for 2 years.
No.
So that's our first thing. And then hopefully we can find somebody who
Okay.
has ideas and has skill and
we got family members that's living all around the whole country, but the parents still live here. And they're gonna start looking. And that's what they look at.
right.
They won't be looking in Lonnie's paper if I don't get it.
No. And the
Great paper
Facebook
line.
page can be active.
They might be.
Posting every day.
Send them out.
So if we put this aside for a few months, any thoughts on what or how to move forward with doing promotional advertising that will help to fill the recruitment needs for employees as well as potential residents?
I think we probably have a decent radio ad for residents, but we don't have for new employees. So we can add to that today. I don't know, we're in the papers, but papers aren't very popular anymore.
No,
We're in a couple of different magazines. So one magazine that we're going to be in coming up is going to send me some art for our ad, and then we can add whatever verbiage we want. So that's a Lutheran magazine that goes to the churches.
I guess I was looking more along the line of not that you had to come up with the whole process today. It's that to do those kinds of things, is there a structure that needs to change? Is it an addition of a person or a particular type of person that gets advertised and added on to take a look at that 25% of the time, whatever it is? Or is it a committee that you need to have work on it? I have a concern of assuming that we have staff on board who have the skills in this, because we have students that graduate that have focused on that. That's, and nothing against anybody who has experience or background having done some of it on the side. That is not what I mean. I'm just saying it's, can move it forward.
I think for short term, we do have staff to maintain the Facebook page. For short term, I think we do. We could form a committee, and I think what pops into my head immediately is the activities department. So I think we could all take some responsibility and all make some time for that because it's important. And that would be short term. I mean, that's certainly not
Long term. No.
Who takes care of the county right now? IT or economic development or nobody?
Each department does their own page. Some are more active than others,
Okay.
but there's no real designated person. And that's part of this.
And that's going to change a year from now, I assume.
Amy Oliver, thank you. Amy just messaged me and she said she can help beef up Vernon Acres webpage, additional photos and information. And then she had the suggestion of a couple open houses at Vernon Acres.
Yeah, good idea.
As far as giving tours.
Oh.
Where
do we go?
This
Table.
3. Okay.
Oh, no.
I guess we'll
Yep. Is that the same meeting?
we'll postpone this discussion until next month. Okay? And
see what gets put up right from Vernon Manor.
see what staff here or
Yeah.
discuss and have a plan for us to do more internal or something.
Everybody bring in one name for a CNA. Used to be the order I always got. You want to keep your job, bring in one more name.
Oh.
Yeah, we have a little cash donation if they talk about it, brought a name and they took it down.
You bet.
Do they have to have training to be the CNA or can it be any
You
name?
can do it on,
Yes, Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lonnie, you keep talking about word of mouth. How are you doing recruiting?
Am I doing the recruiting?
Yes.
How I did as a recruiter.
Well, I keep hearing you repeating back that we need to do this word of mouth, not a website, not any of that. So how are you doing that, encouraging it? Because I've been talking to people, but it just...
It's complex right now.
So I'm just kind of wondering how your turnover has been talking to people.
Well, you did it years ago in your other job.
Yeah, that was my life.
Yeah, that's your life.
I just feel that if we keep doing the same thing we're doing, we're going to get the same result.
Yeah, we're not going ahead at all. You're right, Mary.
Question.
Okay, we got some other discussions going here or what?
You know what?
Let's move on.
Green.
Okay, are we okay now? Everybody here? Okay. I guess this will be like postponed to next month. So we'll go to the next item and hopefully internally we'll get some ideas about getting something quicker. Meet it, clean up the webpage or Facebook or Travis, I'd like your input. What
I'm willing.
can, so, okay. Thank you. Next is feasibility study, RFP update. Who's doing that?
I am. All right. Well, I emailed you all a copy yesterday. Nikki has not reviewed this yet, so if we do move forward, it would be pending Nikki's review. I had a hard time finding an example RFP, as most firms that do this type of work is in response to a direct solicitation, not in response to an RFP. So the example that we were working off of was from Marathon County from 6 years ago, which is the only example RFP I could track down. So looking at this, Bobby and I paid very close attention to the scope. I believe it's going to encompass everything that we were looking at. They'll explore 3 different options. Those being transfer of ownership, so sale of the facility. If we continue to operate, how do we do that in the most effective, efficient, cost-effective manner? And then the third would be contracting with an outside management firm to run the facility. They'll be looking at HR practices. They'll be looking at the census, what's the most effective way to run the facility. One of the items that we're going to have them take a look at is the licensing and other licensing options. That's come up in Human Services Committee quite a few times, is are we best utilizing what we have? And that conversation has been steered specifically to Vernon Acres. You can see the timeline there. We'd be looking at a March start date, assuming we move forward here. To think if there's also taking a look at the short and long range market needs to make, like I said before, to make sure, you know, we're at an appropriate facility size and licensing. Bobby, did you have anything to add from our review? I don't. The Finance Committee did approve funds for the feasibility study and set a pretty high bar, I think, as far as a ceiling. So I don't think that's going to be an issue at all.
Ours, I mean, it's not much flexibility with nursing homes for licensing, right?
Right.
You kind of pretty let out. That's a home they got out of the nursing home business. Is that more assisted living now?
It's all assisted living.
Is that part of Maplewood, or they have a little different, or?
You know, I don't know. I don't know if that's considered part of Maplewood. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but I was told it was assisted living, so my sister's going to Maplewood. So what's the difference? Well, that's not part of our discussion.
That's one of the things they will be exploring as part of the study.
Yeah, sure. Because that's what you said, the future. Gotta look at that too. I guess.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's something they're going to take a close look at. And really, I mean, we have capacity to maybe sometime in the future think about having a memory care unit.
That's true too.
And they'll be doing more of the big picture financial outcasts. This RFP asked for at least 5 years to look at, you know, where we'd be at if we, you know, depending on which option we choose.
I mean, previous years, this labor situation now, this last year or two, it took us over the edge.
Right.
Prior to that, it wasn't an issue.
Yep.
So,
So when,
and we're not unique either.
right.
No.
That's obviously one of the biggest items here. And then they'll be looking at the current HR practices there. So advertising, recruiting, that will be part of it. The one firm that I talked to, we spent quite a bit of time talking about that item, particularly, what's the best way to attract people?
Yeah.
Where we're posting our jobs, how difficult is our application, where basically you need to make it as easy as possible for people to apply for the position. They're not going to spend, an hour filling out our job application. And so, I mean, even down to something that,
Right.
what I consider minute, but we'll be exploring. And the couple firms that I've talked to already, I made it very clear that we wanted to look at every aspect and that we weren't looking for a cookie cutter, we want to leave nothing unexplored as far as what our options are and what the real financial picture will look like.
Right. I got a grandson, lives in Rockton, drives to La Crosse and works in the assistant, I don't know what it is, but he works in a kitchen part. Yeah, come to La Crosse. I said, you can come to Vernon Manor, you make more money. He's so dedicated, he won't leave. That's the kind of employees we need.
Right. Well, it all comes down to the culture too. If you are cultivating a positive work environment, people will want to come and they will want to stay.
That's an any business. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We don't have a big turnover at Vernon Manor, do we? Employees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big mess.
Yeah, we do.
Stayed at the phone.
Because of wage?
Yeah.
Anymore.
No.
Because of environment?
I would say mainly environment.
Really?
Well, I know. People are hearing rumors where I was study, and people are starting to think about jumping ship. I said, no, don't get carried away yet, because if anything's be done, it's going to take a year at least.
Well, and I think not only the feasibility study, but word is out on the street that it's not a pleasant place to work, especially for certain departments. So that's something we have to tackle, and it's urgent. We need to do it.
But it is getting better. I have heard so many things since you've come, Chris, that employees are so much happier. They just feel better about everything.
Wow.
And that's quite that's quite a compliment.
I personally feel that you are good at empowering people.
Yeah.
Good.
Great. So we gotta get that out on the
Should I
street
call you
more.
every day, Bart?
Oh, no, no.
Yeah, there you go.
You don't need a full-time job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Retirement's
But that comes from not only people working at Vernon Manor now, but retired people who are talking to people, that are closer, and they're they can't believe that it's so much more pleasant to come to work now. That's all. There might be other statements too, but thank God they don't call me. Don't need that.
Maybe we have the answer already.
What's that? Oh, yeah, but she won't do it.
Well, she's gonna be here a while.
Yeah.
Get them up there.
Yeah.
Get everybody happy.
And then I feel too, if you have happy employees, you're certainly going to have happy residents. It just goes right on.
It's imperative that our employees feel happy, not necessarily happy, but at least feeling like they can do their job well and that they get some positive feedback and things like that.
Yeah.
Has the state given any help or recruitment or ideas, or
No.
we're on our own?
Yeah.
Are we still going to offer like we did to Amanda? We gave her the choice of, I don't know if we paid, I can't remember that part. If we paid for her schooling to become an administrator, is that going to be part of, who do I have? I don't know.
I think we're on RFPs right now.
Offer?
Yeah.
We're supposed to be on RFPs.
Offered to Amanda?
Okay. We'll bring,
He wasn't an administrator when she got the job.
no,
I don't know. We're
but that's,
we're getting really off
Barb,
topic here.
that's not our subject right now. We're gonna.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Think about it.
Any opinions on this document?
Okay.
Send it out.
Well,
Mary?
subject to,
Pending Nikki's review.
yeah, subject to
Oh.
review by Corporation Council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And any additions that she may feel necessary.
So,
No. No, we wouldn't bring it back next month. We want to get, we want to, yeah.
she makes a major ones, but
Yeah, I don't
I will make
anticipate she's gonna be,
policy-based
yeah.
decision changes. I would make changes that would be like this protection kind
Yeah.
of thing, so.
Right.
CYA.
Yep.
Okay.
yeah, good idea. You go ahead with it, Bonnie? Mary? Mary,
I still move.
you made the motion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Need a
Somebody
second.
else, go.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 1, 2, 3.
You can,
And I'll abstain.
Mary, Bernie's gone, so. Okay, so it's, 3 yes, 1 abstain. We'll go ahead with it. And then we'll hear back next month or February.
Like when you'll see anything.
January 3rd, verification. Request.
I'll give you an update as we go along as far as, if we've received any. So January, I'll provide an update. If I've received any, if people have questions. January 31st will be the submittal deadline. Review in February, interviews in February, final decision in March.
And you see the vendor selection group committee? Bessie, Bobby, myself, Chris, and Kathy, I'm director of the It's okay?
I'll just ask a question and then if you want to, another county board supervisor on that.
Yeah, I'm happy. We just put that together. I'm happy to have anyone else that wants to be involved. I think it would be valuable to have more than one county board member.
Well, that's where I guess I was coming from, so.
Are you volunteering?
I didn't say that.
hinting.
No, I wasn't hinting either. That's why I said a conflict.
Well, it should be one of us, so. Between,
Either that or Mary Bringy.
well, he's not here to say anything, but possible. Or Lonnie?
Not a county board.
Oh, no, you're not, you're a citizen. Well, only, yeah.
No, I didn't say that. That isn't why I asked it. I just think that you need additional representation. Not that Ole can't do a great job. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying,
Really, you're not?
no.
Why don't we could have that as a separate item on January's agenda?
You can determine that then.
Yeah, and I'll just say
That way-
that
that way.
we're gonna add a board member.
Fine.
Yeah, I think that's fair, to have her involved in that conversation.
Okay,
Yeah,
They could have someone from the finance committee
Well, there's one member that's on finance and board of trustees too. Yeah,
We have somebody right here.
I can always send out an email to the board asking for volunteers too, if there's someone that really has strong
Well,
feelings about it.
I don't
I
know.
mean, it's up
They don't
to
under-
you guys.
They don't understand Vernon Manor.
No.
I mean, that's a totally new, it's entity of its own. But what does this committee think of that? Bonnie, Barb, Mary, any county board member. I'd stay within this committee myself. Say, okay.
And you don't have, you don't.
Bobby, you have somebody else in finance you're thinking about?
Mary, because she's not in finance committee.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking Mary too.
well, we'll decide that next month's meeting.
That other Mary's possibility too. She's got a lot of experience with it, doesn't she? Yeah.
Right.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Well, not for this committee, because
Oh.
she came out the same time you did.
Yeah, but did she ever serve in in any of her other terms?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So only like 3 county board members on this committee.
Yeah.
Citizens. And Barb and Lonnie been on for quite a while. And,
Are you saying it's time?
no, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Okay.
Wondering.
Next item.
That would pay,
Yeah. Okay. We're going to new business. Admission agreement. That's another topic, right? Okay. Don't we have one now?
Yes, we do. And there's a lot of holes with it.
It must be. That's why we don't get paid.
So, I didn't know who wants to spearhead this.
I can talk about it.
Okay.
We feel that admission agreement is needed to be updated because we have no words in our current one that would assure, okay, so my family member is coming to Vernon Manor on a Medicare stay. What happens when Medicare no longer pays, then who's going to be responsible? And so that in itself is causing us a huge problem in collecting payments. So
Why would Medicare?
you only get a certain amount
How
of
many days?
Medicare days for your stay. So what happens is that people fail to progress in their therapy, or their condition doesn't get better or gets worse. And they can't go home. It's not safe to go home. It's not safe to go to an assisted living. Then they become private pay if they don't qualify for Medicaid. So then, when that happens, it happens on a day when therapy says, okay, no progress, you're discharged. So then we don't have anyone responsible for paying for that resident. And that's where we run into losing money, a lot of money, because people don't think they have to pay, or they want to argue about, she doesn't have that money, and then the patient doesn't qualify for Medicaid, and then we're stuck. No one's responsible for that debt, and it's huge. So that's the first reason. The second reason is just to have some solid information for people when they come in. What services are available? Here's the daily rate, that kind of stuff. Take it from there, Michelle.
Yeah. So that's basically, in a nutshell, just holding people accountable. And that was probably the biggest reason.
Firm documentation of responsibility.
Right. I think our admission agreement was sort of archaic.
For us and for residents. Yep.
It hadn't been updated in quite some time, and just with the current changes, and it just needed to be addressed.
Because the resident who's moving in, I know twice situations I dealt with they don't understand the whole complexity. He says, I want to move in, let's do it.
Mhm.
Well, there's a lot more to it.
Right.
That's why you need the family member for whoever's power attorney for financial.
And we have to ensure that we're going to get paid.
Yeah.
You know, we need to be paid to run. So, you know, I think somebody's got to be responsible for that, and we need to figure out who it is
Yeah.
and what those assets are and things like that.
So if there's no family involved to take care of things, Medicaid is the only thing, and possibly maybe a little Social Security. Is that about it?
But you have to qualify for Medicaid too. So, you know, that.
Well, if they never had anything and they don't have anything, obviously.
And then there's issues where, you know, people get rid of their investments within a 5-year period that disqualify, that will put them in a divestment period, which will, you know, they don't have anything, but they've gotten rid of their assets, so Medicaid won't qualify for them. There's just so many reasons, not just one.
Now it's more like 70.
Are you,
It's 7, I think, yeah.
are you allowed to financially check their background to find
Well-
out they've got money in the bank or?
I have been starting to do that actually, just for, I have been asking for them to provide for the last couple, as we've been going through this process, to ask them to provide documentation that supports their financial stability to be able to pay privately.
Yeah, because last month we saw a couple.
The request. So another thing, and this isn't with it, not only are we, so this is our action item that we want to address today and get your approval. But we are also on the guidance from that lawyer firm we worked with. And Nikki, I don't know how well you've been able to look at them yet. It was sort of a short window.
The admissions agreement through no fault of Michelle, just the nature of the timing of this process, I just got yesterday. And I had muni court yesterday, so I didn't get home until after 10 o'clock. And I did look at it. I spent some time on it late last night and early this morning, enough to have done what I'll say was a more cursory review of the entire thing, as opposed to normally I'll go through line by line, and I can't say I did that. But I did spend enough time that I'm comfortable saying my takeaway is I really like this agreement. And the reason I say that is because it's got a level of detail that I find necessary, but not so much that you get lost.
Hi, this
in
is
that
Tim.
detail. I find it accessible and has some clarity for the layman folks who are going to be needing to understand what these terms are. So overall, it looks like an excellent agreement. And I would say that I would approve it, but I would also want to and would go back and really make sure I'm looking at it all in detail, but I don't perceive that I have any concerns with the cursory review I did.
This is something similar to other agencies use? Or I don't know where you came up with this.
So we
Creative?
use this lawyer firm that specializes in healthcare legal representation, whether, you know, going after claims, they specialize in it. It's name this long.
And they seemed really well versed with the correspondence that you had shared
Yes.
with me, some of the
Right,
insights
questions
what
and-
they offered. I had the takeaway, they know what they're doing in this
Yeah.
practice area.
They were suggested by Pope and Connor, our billing contractors who have worked with different legal firms
Yeah.
with trying to get money back on for their.
What do we use right now? Quite simple, or what's the?
It just doesn't hold them to the fire. And what I'm saying to you is like the signature pages on the back aren't as extensive as we're asking them to sign on the dotted line here. And not only that, we're also, we're going to start doing a financial worksheet that they helped us develop. And that's not part of the admission agreement because nobody legally has to do it, right? But we can ask for that. I even ask questions like, you know, for instance, can I ask for payment in advance? I really can't if they're not private pay. If they don't fill out the financial, like say they're private pay and they don't fill out the financial worksheet to the extent that we need them to, then I can go to that payer acknowledgement agreement and ask them to pay in advance. So I can also ask going forward, can I have a copy of your driver's license for the financial? I can ask. That's not a legal requirement either, but they're directions I'm going to take just to make sure we don't incur the bad debt that we have had in the past. Is it 100% proof? No, because once they're in, it's, but there's steps we can take to be proactive than having to be reactive. And if I have to go after the claim, at least I have names, some kind of identification if they're willing to give it to me for the financial responsible parties, just something on file.
Who does this report? You do or admissions?
Admissions would do the initial agreement, they would have the financial worksheet attached. And if that financial worksheet, which we don't have here, I'm sorry, but it's not, the financial worksheet is going to be a requirement, but if they don't fill it out to the standard that we feel comfortable with, then we can go to this payer acknowledgement form that says, well, we're not really sure of your stability or what have you, and you're going to be private. We're going to ask you to pay a month in advance.
Yeah. Right, sure, good.
I have a couple questions. And I don't know if you've got this detailed with them, so you may not be able to answer them.
I'll
but
try.
On page 3, under its the obligation to facility, it's number 4F. And it says notify the facility immediately when the residents' funds are reduced below $10,000. Should that be higher than that? Should it be 30,000? Should it be 20,000? Because if their funds have gotten to a point and they've got a balance, once you get under 10,000, there's not much there to get if you need to. I don't know if they had any recommendation on that or why 10,000 is the number.
Is that a spend down amount is what I'm guessing?
I couldn't find where she was.
Page 3,
Okay, I'm there.
page 3,
Okay.
number 4.
I'm thinking that's a spend down amount for Medicaid.
Sure might be.
And that's why they chose that. Because if they get down to that amount,
I
They can-
agree, but I wouldn't be able to say that without looking back to.
okay.
But that adds
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
That's
then
likely
they
what
would
it is.
qualify for Medicaid.
But they may have $100,000 worth of assets too, though.
Well,
Not
probably
Medicaid.
not, because we should know that. We should have that information.
Well, the financial worksheet.
Yeah.
And then the second,
Qualified Medicaid again, so.
No, that's right. Mhm.
And it depends if they have a spouse or if they don't have a spouse, if their spouse is living.
second area that I had a question is on page 6, under Roman numeral 7, and it relates to bed hold if they get placed in the hospital. And it talks about reserving a place at the facility, they'll hold it. And it says, so long as payment for such services is received or as otherwise set forth in the facility's bed hold policy. I don't know what your bed hold policy is, but I guess I'm wondering, and I don't know that this can be done, so I'm just asking the question is, should the bed be paid for in advance?
Well, it can't be.
If you don't know
unless-
about it, you won't, but,
Unless we're at 95% capacity,
okay,
which we never are.
yeah,
So we can't charge people for bed holds.
okay,
And currently, there are only 2 reasons that a bed would be held for someone to. One is if they're in the hospital, and 2, if they're on therapeutic leave and coming back.
okay, thank you. Those are the areas I had questions on.
Okay. Any other questions? I think this is a great improvement. I mean, we need something like this.
It'll hopefully help you guys avoid the closed session needs at the end of this meeting.
That'd be great.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this admissions agreement update?
Also moved.
Barb,
I'll second it.
second Lonnie?
I'll just ask a question. Is that something that this board normally does? Or is it something that as a part of administering it, the staff there
Administration?
and through working with corporation counsel approve? I don't know. I'm just.
Guess what?
An admission agreement, the updating of an admission agreement, is that something that this group normally would approve, or is it something that's in the responsibility of the director working with corp counsel and whoever does admissions there, and seeing that that's done? Or is that
Historically, what has been the practice, or going forward, what should be the practice? The latter would be, yeah, it should go through this committee.
okay?
Historically, I can't say. I haven't been too involved with your guys' committee. In the
I don't
past.
think we've ever approved one.
I haven't. I don't recall in the time,
No.
2017 through now, I don't recall that.
I'm just thinking it's a,
That's more
Yes.
internal document. I
Yeah.
think.
Because
Right.
it is, but it's on policy so much with decisions there, it needs to have that oversight, would be my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I was going to remark on. I think because there are substantial policy changes between our old agreement and this one, you know, if you're talking about requiring upfront payments, if you're talking about, you know, requiring a financial statement, you know, that kind of thing, then it makes sense for it to come. Now, if you're talking about making minor changes, I think, you know, ideally, we wouldn't have to come back anytime we make a small change.
okay? Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye of this agreement?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And I should say, when I'm not sure, I do include you in all emails. Or Cassie, I try to include Cassie too.
I never mind having to say, nope, you don't need me to review, right? Never hurts anything.
Okay, next thing is employment assessment breakdown.
That was a question from you, Mary, about who,
Yes.
you know, what the numbers of our staff were and the hours that they put in. So I'm not sure, are you concentrating on RN, LP, and CNA?
What I was looking for is, you have Vernon Manor. How many positions does Vernon County have on its books for all of the positions within Vernon Manor? So how many RNs, how many LPNs, how many CNAs, how many in dietary, how many housekeeping, how many are actual administration, how many are support services? And then how many of those are open? And then in addition, it's like, where are the contracted staff then? If we've got 6 CNA positions open, we also currently may have, that are on the books, we may have 6 CNA that are contracted, or 2, and 4 open, or whatever. But I just don't ever get a good handle of how many positions are in most departments, and whether they're full-time, part-time. And I know you have on-call as well, but the bottom line was, when we were looking at what the volume of contracted staff and pay, it's like, well, how many we have all these contracted staff, but how many positions do we really need to operate this facility? And I would assume that's based on what's on the books, whether they're open or full is another story. So that's what I was looking for.
Okay, so I can tell you who's here right now. This is very difficult information to get.
And I would prefer to see it in a chart form,
Okay.
so.
I will work on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
As far as agency staff, they are not staffed unless there's a need. So with meeting how many CNAs did I mention?
10.
10 CNAs. We then would need to occasionally staff, probably 3 on every shift,
Mhm.
CNAs. Nurses, same way. We don't have that many agency nurses, I don't think. But CNAs, we're really lacking, and we don't have agency for any of the other departments.
Mhm.
So,
You do have an organization that's tried, don't you?
yes. Mhm.
At least I was promised that by the previous administrator.
Okay. Yes, we do have that somewhere.
I think she did share that with us.
You did?
Yeah.
We got a copy a few months ago.
So the housekeeping particularly are short all the time, just because we need a full-time staff member and we haven't been able to recruit one.
So in your listing there, how many county positions are there? Or maybe you don't have that at this time, so it may be something that needs to be.
How many are there permanently? How many we need
Mhm.
permanently? I don't have that.
Okay, thank you. That's fine.
I'll work on it.
And it varies if we get 2 residents and that number changes.
Well, I understand that, but I would expect that as we budget for so many FTEs and, whether they're full-time, part-time, whatever. And that way I consider them to be on the books, whether they're filled or not, it's another story, but. So.
What's a
I can't
FTE
think.
for 24?
Yeah, I can't think. Sorry. I can't pull it out of I'm trying to think.
2 right now?
Oh, 78. Bobby, do you have that document with your fingerprint? Okay, she's still bringing it up. I just turned one. I want to say 78. Yes.
By position, I think would be more helpful.
Well,
I don't remember it by department.
I'm just saying total for the.
Just total, Bobby. That's what Oli wanted.
One three is 84.84 FTEs.
So, are we okay with number 13 to be brought back or?
Yes.
Chris will be working on that, I assume.
Mhm.
Okay, number 14. Current financial standing for auditor, financial manager.
So I had reached out to Marissa. What I have for you today is just to look at what she presented to the board of trustees on June 9th. I wasn't able to commit her to today's meeting. If that's something that,
Johnson Block.
yes. If that's something that you want me to try for next meeting, I will try harder to get her. I know they are very short-handed, but what I was able to give to you as reference, just like to a reminder of what she had presented to us in the June meeting, just a lot of charts that basically shows trends over the years that you can see. Where have we gone from bad debts, from 2015 to 2022, trends in the accounts receivable, uncollectible. You can just see the trend. And I think just looking at the trends in the charts just pretty much gives you an overall picture of why we're in a feasibility study. Try to change things around or whatever is decided. Here, Cassie, I've got one. Sorry.
Hey,
But if you decide after reviewing these that you'd still like her at the meeting, I can only ask.
Well, the county board has asked as an agenda item for December for someone to report on the financial status of Vernon Manor and Vernon Acres. That came up at last month's meeting. So I don't know if you, Bobby's not in here. I don't know if you and Bobby have talked about that at all, but that was asked to be an agenda item.
so we want this auditor to come?
I think Marissa's been auditing us for quite a few years, is my understanding. When I asked her if she would be available by Zoom or phone, and she didn't respond. So I'd have to reach out to her again.
Well, have they finished the county's audit yet?
No.
Well, then,
Yeah.
they probably don't want to come before us for this if they.
But our audit is done.
I know that, I understand
Okay.
that, but I mean, if they don't haven't
Got it.
finished the other one yet.
But if they wanted to discuss the Vernon Manor part of it, that's,
That's on the agenda for December meeting.
Supervisor Egan asked that it be added to the agenda for December.
for the Vernon Manor discussion, just to clarify.
Just, yeah, for a
Okay.
financial report.
Well, I mean, this would be what,
This is what he's asking.
I can try to reach out to Marissa again. I just know they're suffering from staff shortages too, I think.
I'm going to ask a question. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but when I looked at on page 5 of this report, it lists the accounts receivable by year. And then if you go to page 16, it also lists the bad debt by year. And so if I'm looking at this, it's telling me that we still have accounts receivable out there from 2015, and some of it looks like bad. I don't know exactly if that's what it's saying. Some of that's bad debt and some of it isn't, but we still may get it. I don't know.
We wrote off 129,000 last in 2022. So that was probably part of this number, I'm guessing at this time. I'd have to clarify that with her because I don't know the timing of when she produced this. But the trend is there has been an upward trend in uncollectible. There it is.
Well, yeah, accounts receivable has gone up considerably in the last 3 years, and
You know, that not only that, it's not just private pay sources. You know, there was issues with getting United Health claims paid. And, you know, we were able to ask United Health to open up a window for us that they normally wouldn't. And that was going to the higher up and just being a real thorn in their side to allow us to resubmit some claims. And Pope and Connor were able to, you know, get us out of the United Health claim in Humana, like 40 some thousand. Yeah, but that was being a big thorn.
Right.
But some of them, they just wouldn't. So 20,000 I'm still dealing with, and that's a different discussion. But,
well, I just see accounts receivable back to 2015, and this is 2023 now, so. It concerns me based on if you add up those amounts that are there. And then, of course, the bad debt, that doesn't look as bad as the accounts receivable right now, but it's not necessarily good either, so.
I'd like to say we're getting a better handle on it because number one, we're shoring things up, and I'm trying to stay on top of things as I see them becoming issues. Sometimes I can make something happen and sometimes it's out of my control. Just depends.
So, Cassie, what's the county board want to see? This? Or,
There's been a lot of talk about the financial state of Vernon Manor and Vernon Acres, both at finance committee, at this committee. And I think what they're asking for is an actual report to the full board. So the full board has an idea of, number one, why we're moving forward with the feasibility study and what the actual financial picture is. That's what I think the request was.
So that's pretty much this document, because this is an audited for 22.
Mhm.
Not-
As of last year, doesn't include 23. Mhm. And if you look at page 7, when you look at the net at towards the bottom, it's, it says we're about 700,000 to the good totally, and that's including all liabilities and interests.
So I can try to reach out to her if that's what you guys, I'll try again. I don't know if it's,
Melody, she don't deal with this anymore. She did yours.
On the audit side anymore, she's on the financial services side. But she's not doing any audit stuff.
Are we getting different auditors now?
I have an RFP out that's due the end of this month.
For the county.
Doing anything yet?
I've gotten questions from 2 firms. The one, I talked to last week at a Wisconsin Government Financial Officers Conference for the winter, and they have 6 counties currently.
Well, they won't even consider us till we get to 22 done,
Before.
right?
discussion.
They could start. They would prefer it be done, but we won't make a selection until January.
No.
So are you comfortable or are you willing to present what the auditors have shared to the board? And that be the case, and if,
I don't have I don't have the prior year. I don't know if I'd be able to deliver it at the standard that they would require with the in-depth knowledge. I can lightly go over what I'm looking at, right? But I don't have, she had a really nice presentation that, you can pop up on, for everybody that,
well, this is your presentation.
I could try, yeah, it is. So I could try. I just don't know if I'd be as, I just don't, if you wanted me to, I would.
Well,
Well,
Yes.
if she isn't going to come, what's your recommendation for?
I could share with them this. I don't know. I'll go away with whatever you
Yeah,
guys want.
typically when you're presenting an audited document like that to a board, it's the auditors that are
Yep.
doing it.
Yeah.
And so I understand your hesitance. I wouldn't feel comfortable.
Okay,
with that.
thank you. I feel bad. But I just want them to have a good presentation.
Yeah.
well, get a hold of them soon
Mm-hmm.
and discuss this, and then county board is a couple of weeks.
Maybe she was busy, but, she was responding to me to give me this so I could have it, electronically for everybody. And then when I asked her about the Zoom, will you be capable? Would you be willing? And then it went dead silent. So I can just reach out again.
Yeah, I think I would request her to be
Yeah.
present if they can be present.
If I can just interrupt, I have to head to another county meeting right now. Michelle, do you have the most recent updates that I have in supervisor
Yes.
elections? So if there's additional questions, please feel free
Okay.
to reach out to me.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah.
That was fun. Oh, neither.
Okay, we have
I asked.
boiler, next to be the boiler replacement.
All right.
Travis?
Yep, so the finance committee requested 3 bids on boiler replacements. I reached out to 6 or 7 vendors. I asked 3 bids back. Package or not, but yep. That's from WHV, Vernon Buckner and Precision Controls. Numbers wise, WHV came in. They gave us 2 options.
And I think the thing to clarify, just so they understand, like usually bids are only good for a certain time period, but they shared with you that.
Yeah, bids are usually good for 30 days, but it said prices can fluctuate between or by the end of the year. So.
Didn't we approve Winona heating last time?
Nothing was approved. No, these bids are
2 years ago?
I thought they were approved, but never acted on.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
These are new.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These are
we
new.
did approve it, though.
We did. Yeah.
So you've approved the whole chunk funding request,
Right.
Yeah.
but not the actual
Right.
bid.
Oh,
Yeah.
We had all kinds of contracts and stuff there in front of us.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, anyway, okay.
So yep, let's read the WHB with the VFP pump, which are the speed of the pumps would ramp up or down depending on the building load. So that option is an additional $5,320 on both of their boilers.
And you think that's a necessary?
Not necessary, but efficiency wise, yes.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding where you're at. Would you repeat that?
so through this WHB, Vernon Buckners, and Precision Controls.
Yes.
So I guess looking at the numbers right now, I'm just kind of looking at WHB since they are the cheapest. And I think they're offering what the Manor would benefit most from. So their bids were for a Patterson-Kelly 1500 MBH boiler or a 1250. The building was additionally designed and the load required determined was 1500 MBH. Price on that one is, with the VFD is 150. If we go with the lesser one, it's 144.
So you're saying that WHB has a quote in here for 150?
Yeah, the 144 plus the 5,320 with the VFD pump.
And
That's an option.
I think that was an additional after we had already. planned it out.
5,300.
I think you spoke to them.
Yeah.
Not on my sheet.
Yeah, that's not on your sheet because that was like a discussion afterwards and probably should have included.
So it's 144 plus 5,
Yes.
150,000.
And I did reach out to focus on energy and this project would qualify for $24,000 in incentive rebates. So that would be
It would qualify.
Yeah.
Reduce it down to 125 or so, 130.
Does that change who you might look at here?
no. Yeah, I talked with Steve Greenland, the county's other HVAC person, and we both agreed that the way to go would be with WHB and Patterson Kelly boilers. That's what facility currently has. So we're familiar with, and I know the parts are easy to come by.
And again, just to I know it's listed on top, but we have Ho-Chunk funding source from 2023 of 100,000, and we're going to redirect the 50,000 of Ho-Chunk funds from the nurse call system to this project.
Okay, that hotel money still there from 20,
Yeah, finance actually reallocated those funds, so that's done. So as it sits right now, that's already been approved by finance. There's $150,000 available for this project.
oh,
We just need to select the vendor.
I
And so,
thought they took all that stuff away. That's something else. I don't know.
That was all of the requests for this coming year. The
Okay.
reallocation of the 50,000 was specific to this project.
Okay,
so, and if the 24,000 comes through, then you won't utilize all of that O-chunk funding, correct?
We need
the
to.
the rebate.
So does the rebate go back into that?
I
Or
would-
what happens with that?
I would say probably, Bobby?
It would go to offset the expense because that's what rebates are for.
Uh-huh.
But typically the vendor submits that as well for their customers. So it depends on how long it's going to take to get that rebate back.
But would it would it be allocated back to Ho-Chunk at all?
It would offset the expense.
Yeah, but I understand it offsets the expense. So let's just say the vendor didn't submit it.
And we're on the hook for the full amount.
Okay, but if the 26,000 comes back to the county, where does that go?
It should go back to Vernon Manor.
To Vernon Manor or to the Ho-Chunk account?
Say it goes back to the full chunk account. That's the expense.
Yeah.
I thought,
That's what I.
Propose $150,000, but if you get $24,000 back, that should go back.
Ho-Chunk.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we put contingency into this either, so.
So if we do get the rebate back, that'll give contingency amount to the boiler project. But if there is no contingency listed and we go above and beyond, then we'll have to figure out where to find the extra money to complete the project for any unforeseen.
Should be part of our capital for the year. That's all we have scheduled so far.
Well, I'll ask this.
The rebate might offset some of that too.
It also says on there that it doesn't include the water testing or the replacement of any glycol that might be needed. Any projections on what you think that might cost?
That would be if they needed to add in a couple $1,000. But and the water testing, building and facilities, that I don't know what it costs, but it's being submitted right now.
Yeah, because you don't want to avoid that boiler warranty, yeah. Thank you.
Recommendation is, why not,
WHD help with
I make a motion, we approve.
For a second,
I'll second.
Barb, any more discussion? Funding approved, everything, so it should be a go, I would think. All in favor, say aye. Go with Winona. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Good.
And that's all three boilers, right? Any projection on when they might start?
It would be next spring after.
Thanks.
I lost my agenda again.
I did too. Yeah. See if I can find.
Okay, decrease in bed capacity proposal. 16. Taking care of this.
Michelle and I will, we're talking about, how we are licensed for 80 beds and our admissions, you can see You can see our yearly average census from 2017 on. We have not been over 68 census since 2017. And that's a good picture of before COVID and now after. And so given the fact that we have a difficulty staffing beds at 60, I don't think the facility will ever be able to staff at 80. So it would save us about 20,000 a year to cut our bed licenses down by 10.
Got a
70.
bed tax.
Mhm.
All the other expenses are related to number of residents.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think, looking back historically, I don't think we have needed 80 beds for a very, very long time. And I don't think we will again.
Do you think those beds could ever be used in the future for memory care?
Well, then that would be a different sort of licensure. And so it would be more of a, the state would see it as a major change to the facility. And then those beds couldn't be transferred. The SNF beds couldn't transfer to a memory care without any change. So.
But usually once you take away beds, you've been told never, hardly ever get them back.
No, you can't.
Yeah. But if you change to a different type of a part of a facility, then maybe you can.
Then you can, sure. Mm-hmm.
So if we would ask for memory care beds, then we could get them back for that?
Well, you have to have a memory care facility first.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that would be a whole different discussion for
Like
another
a
day,
wing
but
or something. Just using one of the wings though.
I think.
How many,
We discussed that years ago.
mhm.
We never did it.
How many beds in a wing? Or are they each wing different?
Well, some are single and some are double.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that would be, the state allows you to make decisions on that, if you're going to get rid of some of the doubles or how you're going to allocate those beds. But I would propose that we give up 10. Go from 80 to 70.
I mean,
Yeah.
20,000 is 20,000, but overall for the whole budget is.
I know it
Not
seems like
much.
a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
It's something.
That isn't even one residence pay.
Right.
A year, it doesn't seem
But that's per month.
Per month.
per month. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not 20,000 a month.
Oh, no, it's 20,000 for the year.
Yeah.
A year.
30,600 per month for
Yeah.
80.
And 11 for 7.
I should have done the analytics.
I see it
different,
now.
I'm sorry.
I see it.
Okay.
Thank you.
This, I put a step in the right direction, even a small step, but
Well, I think
And
it's
you're right,
20,000
yeah.
that we will never use.
Yeah.
We don't need those beds. We won't use them. So I think, it's just another thing that we can think about cutting.
are they empty right now?
Yeah, we
Oh,
only
yeah.
now we have 60 residents.
So we got quite.
And we have room for 80.
So that would still give us 10.
Mhm. I think
The
it'll be,
occasional road.
we haven't had bed capacity for at least 7 years over 68. So.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get a hold of our legislators and get rid of the bed tax that was whacked on us a few years ago. I mean, tax people when they're at the end of their life and have nothing or next to nothing or what they've, anyway,
Good luck with that.
yeah. Well, I'll mention it to someone but it probably won't do any good, but.
We talked to them before, but go ahead, Cassie.
My only concern with this is that we're going to be looking at that as part of the feasibility study. And I almost I don't disagree at all. I think that's ultimately what they're going to tell us is that we should reduce the number of beds. My concern is that what if they are looking at demographics and their recommendation is to increase capacity and here's how we want you to do it. And we've given those beds away that we can't theoretically get back. So that's my only concern.
If they got a way to get 10 more people.
Well, yeah. Like I said, probably not realistic, but that is one thing they're going to be evaluating.
We won't lose a lot of money waiting. You know,
And
yeah.
the only thing is that let's just say they came back with a plan that there's more potential residents referred from hospital stays for short term. And we can't get those 10 back.
We can't staff those 10. No, we really can't.
Okay.
Do we have that too?
We have trouble staffing what we have. So, you know, I think it's okay to Google it and wait to see what the facility or feasibility study comes up with. The state actually pays people to reduce their beds down to 50 now, just because the need for beds is not there. I wouldn't suggest that we do that because we're always over 50, but certainly 80 is excessive, I think.
They pay you to stay down?
Yeah, there's a payment per resident if our bed capacity is 50 or less. It wouldn't make any difference for us. And we're always more full than that.
Yeah, we could get 1754.
Bed?
Yeah.
For
Bed per day.
Yeah.
For 50 beds?
If we go to 50, we could get 1754.
So a lot of S&Fs with census, with bed capacity of 60 did that.
But with our mix too, like we have a lot of Medicaid, we have to remember this.
Yeah.
So we should probably postpone after feasibility
Yeah, I
study.
think that's reasonable to do that.
Okay, Lonnie?
Motion to propose, postpone. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? On until feasibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Till we see the results, you know?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Number 17, Board of Trustees plaque donation.
Oh,
This is more just a talking point for you, Barb, just to,
well, I found someone who will now make the plaque for us. And we have offered to buy the plaque as a donation. We being my husband.
okay.
And we're going to do it through Ing, who is, I can't think of it, Sean Ing.
Sean Inc.
Yeah, he has a sign business right here in Garoppala, and he's going to present 4 or 5 samples to me. And what I presented to him was, okay, the trustees that were on the board at the time that we planned and are dedicated, Vernon Acres. And then also, I do think because Amanda was pretty much in charge of the project, that we have the administrator's name on there also. And I don't know, do you want anyone else's name? I don't know what Amy's title is.
Amy Bile?
Yeah.
RN
Is she?
supervisor.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe just the planning of the building, which is essentially what that plaque is for, the building project. Okay. I'll keep going ahead because it was all approved before in 2021. So anyway, we'll do it now.
Okay, thank you.
And Travis will hang it. He's dead.
It'll be inside the lobby.
Well, what I thought was, even when I picked out the size of the plaque, you come in the entry doors, and then off to the is the meeting room, off to the left, and then Amy's office, and next to that is a blank wall that's probably this 2 feet wide. And I thought, there,
Oh,
so it's kind of at the entry, but the second entry sound okay?
people will see it.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Next line
yeah.
for that. Okay. Next, we have closed session. I assume you're still going ahead with this? Oh, it's about, but the chair may enter, most to enter a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851 F, considering financial, medical, social, and personal histories, disciplinary, a specific person, primary consideration of personnel problems, investigatory against certain person, except for par B applies, which, if discussed in public, would likely have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of